scandal. Is it a scandal?
I don't know. Like we're heading that direction for sure. I mean, you had. I feel like the sentiment towards it. The reason I say I'm not sure if it's a scandal in the masses is because I feel like the sentiment towards this situation in the media, but also with some of this, some of these clips we're going to play is like, oh, well, it's not like they've got a telescope up in the bleachers and, they didn't do anything, crazy. It's like everyone for whatever reason. And hey, I'm open to the idea. Maybe I'm just a Jim Harbaugh hater. Maybe I'm that guy, but I don't think I am, but maybe I am, because I don't understand how we continue to defend somebody who's the spearhead of a program who's doing this. That's what I struggle with, is like, we don't want to just say, yeah, you recruited during the COVID dark window. Then you thought it'd be a good idea to tell this guy to go out and buy tickets in his own name on his $55,000 salary, where you clearly gave him money, and go to these games or send staffers and scheme. That's what you thought was a good idea.
Yep.
And nobody wants to say, hey, like, yeah, Jim just got it wrong here. And yeah, there's consequences for that.
Well, and I think the hard part right now is that you have a situation where the NCAA is going to take unprecedented action. And we were hearing today in the same conversations we were having about Oregon State and Washington State. One of the interesting things we were hearing today was that the NCAA is exploring their options for taking action in the near future, which I think very clearly means that they're looking at suspending Jim Harbaugh for the rest of the year. They must have concrete evidence if that's the case. But it's interesting hearing from other coaches. In particular, we heard from Matt Rule and Deion Sanders, and Deion Sanders didn't seem to have much surprise or shock about what's going on at Michigan.
Everyone's trying to get an edge. I mean, everyone's trying to get whatever edge they can. You could have someone's whole game plan. They can mail it to you. You still got to stop it. So in football, it's not as pronounced as baseball. If I know a curveball is coming, I got you. With football, I don't give a darn if you know a sweep is coming. You still got to stop it. Physically, it's a physical game. You got to stop it. So that's a little tough. I don't buy into a lot of that stuff that someone's stealing this, stealing that. I don't buy into a lot of that stuff. You still got to play the game. Back in our glory days with San Francisco as well as the Cowboys, you know darn well Emmitt Smith is getting the ball. You know darn well Mike Irvin is running the comeback. You know darn well Jay Novacek is going to do what he's going to do, and you couldn't stop it.
Yeah, Deion Sanders, pretty matter of fact about his feelings, that it doesn't matter if you know the signal, you still got to make the play. And then there's Matt Rule, who had a very interesting take on this as well and how to stop it.
You go to a high school game, there's technology on the sideline. You go to an NFL game, there's technology on the sideline. You go to the college, there's nothing. Like, if you don't think, so that it should be that. But that's sign stealing. That's not, I would not carry that over to going and filming someone else's practices or something like that, or filming someone else's games. That's completely something different. And I'm not saying that happened. But I think what's wrong partly in our society right now sometimes is we say someone does something against the rules, and sports need rules, right? Sports need rules to keep competitive balance. And when someone does something against the rules, we say, well, should that really even be a rule? And it is the rule. That's the rule, right? Like, I didn't get to play with, we don't get 5 downs. But in game, stealing of signs. When I play against somebody and I know that person has friends on the next staff, I know if they have our signs, they're having it the next week. That's all part of the game, and you have to do what you do. We should absolutely have technology, but if there's a rule, the rule should be followed. And I'm not speaking about what's happening right now because I don't know what happened. But if that is happening somewhere, it's completely wrong.
Wild. And I think it's really interesting that when you hear coaches like Matt Rule and Deion Sanders talking about this, and then you hear that the NCAA is exploring options to take immediate action against Michigan and Jim Harbaugh, I don't think there's any doubt now. And these new photos that came out today that have this Michigan analyst on the sideline, and
Yeah, there's a lot of evidence, bro.
You look at this right here. He is all the way on the left with the red arrow. There's video of him in the Ohio State game last year. And the whole coaching staff staring at the signal coming in from the Ohio State sideline. And the coaching staff automatically started changing the defensive play when they saw what the signal was. And why would they be doing that? Because they knew what the play call was. And you look at him there. You look at him right there with all the assistant coaches, with a notebook in his hand, a binder in his hand. This was clearly a much larger operation than we had any idea of. And I think there is no question the NCAA has a volume of evidence here. I don't know. Is it appropriate for the NCAA to take action now? Well, here's what's at risk, and here's the problem. If the NCAA doesn't take action now, they're never going to be able to take action. Because I think it's widely accepted now that Jim Harbaugh will leave his position as Michigan coach after this season. And the NCAA is largely in a position where they will not be able to punish Michigan or Jim Harbaugh at that point. And I think the NCAA, this is what their real job is. Their job is administration and enforcement. That is really their only purview at this point over football on the regular. And one of the things that they say they take very seriously at the NCAA is ethics and rule enforcement. And they have the teeth to really make this hurt against Michigan and Jim Harbaugh. But if Jim Harbaugh is allowed to leave Michigan, there are no sanctions that can reach him in the NFL. And I think it will be very difficult for the NCAA to hold off here, especially knowing that one of the real, I don't know if philosophies or core philosophies of the college football playoff is ethics and integrity. And I think it's going to be very difficult for them to allow Michigan, because let's be honest, a week from, I think it's tonight, in fact, when the first college football playoff rankings come out, who do you think is going to be the number one team in that ranking? It's going to be the Michigan Wolverines. And J.J. McCarthy very likely can win the Heisman Trophy. He is the odds-on favorite to win the Heisman Trophy right now. You really think the NCAA is going to let that happen? I have a hard time seeing that. They learned too much out of the Pete Carroll scandal. And I think the other part of this that you just can't ignore anymore, and I understand if you look at our comment section yesterday, Michigan fans came out in mass and in force to say you don't have any evidence. Well, I'm going to guess that the NCAA has a lot of evidence because they're telling you what they know. They are telling you that this particular staffer bought 30 games and distributed those tickets in his own name. And if they had no evidence, why is this cat currently suspended from Michigan's football program? That's a really tough question to get around if you're a Michigan supporter.
Yeah.
Why is he suspended? Well, because they have evidence. And the larger question is, let's not forget that the NCAA asked for electronic equipment. And we're not talking about cell phones. We're talking about computers. Why do they want your computer? Because you probably have banking records on there. You probably have a history of buying tickets on there. You probably have cut film on there. You probably have stored film on there. And if you don't, you have access to your cloud on that computer. Think about it. The NCAA, in my opinion, would not have noticed the Big Ten, and the Big Ten would not have warned future opponents without actionable evidence. And I think it's going to be very difficult if you are the NCAA to take no action here, especially when you stand on an ivory tower built of respect and ethics.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I think that, these coaches, Prime and Matt Rule, obviously can't come out and be like, yeah, I think Jim cheated and they're a dirty program. You're never going to say that. But I do think that it's interesting to watch different people take different stances, because what they both had in common is that sign stealing is not illegal, and it's not illegal. And that's not what Michigan's in trouble for. Michigan's in trouble for sending staff out to their opponents' games in the future and videotaping them from the bleachers and, stealing that way. And that is illegal. And And so to me, I think the NCAA wouldn't be behaving in the way they do if they had nothing. And Michigan fan doesn't want to admit that.
Well, and I think the harder part here is they don't need this particular staffer. They don't need video evidence of him recording sidelines. And one of the things I think was such a great point, I think it was on Feinbaum's show today or yesterday, where they were talking about this guy was not very smart for being somebody that worked in intelligence. This guy's not very smart because they don't need him. They have surveillance video of people who sat in the seats that he bought in his own name recording sidelines on two sides of a stadium.
Yeah.
In 11 different Big Ten venues. So it's going to be tough for him to get away from this, truly. Fat Jesus, what's up? My favorite author. Harbaugh needs to be punished more for wearing Walmart Dockers and being a mouth breather.
It's a defense.
Okay. 1939, most receivers have an option on the pass route. Same with the running back on his own play. Okay. Jim Choi, Michigan will go to court and get an injunction. Maybe. But here's the other problem. So let's say Michigan goes to court and gets an injunction. Do you really think the NCAA is just going to let that pass? If Michigan doesn't cooperate with this investigation, and they're already cooperating over the top from what everybody is reporting, Michigan is fully cooperating.
Yeah. They
suspended an employee of the football department, and by all accounts, a pretty important one. On the spot, is a day after they were noticed, they suspended him. I think they're going to cooperate. But let's go the injunction route. How do you think the NCAA is going to react to Michigan going to court and getting an injunction? They're not going to react favorably. And when Jim quits after the season, as many people think he will, who do you think the NCAA is going to come looking for? They're going to come looking for Michigan because you went to court and got an injunction. So I seriously doubt that will happen.
Yeah, and I just don't think Michigan is incentivized to delay this because they're not. I mean, that take, respectfully, Jim, I'm not coming after you, but that take would assume that Michigan is naive to the fact that Jim's leaving after the year is over.
Or that they believe they can win this.
Yeah. And by the way, they don't need to win. The institution's going to move forward. It's just a matter of how long that's going to take.
Yes.
And again,
I would agree with that.
Like, it's not like this is once again, a money issue per se. I mean, this is, again, different than, Mel Tucker's situation. This is different than what everyone, tried to compare it to with Pete Carroll and Reggie Bush and USC's happenings. This is completely different. This is, hey, the rules are the rules. You guys broke the rules, and we have plenty of evidence to support that.
It's what Matt Rule said.
Yeah.
There's a rule in black and white, and you broke it. You're going to be punished for it.
Yeah.
You'll notice nobody is wondering, well, did he actually really do this? No. Have you heard anybody ask that question?
No.
Because the evidence is overwhelming.
I mean, instead, what we're saying is that sign stealing is normalized and happens every day or every week in college football. And again, we're not talking about sign stealing. This is what again, respectfully, the casuals don't understand. This isn't about sign stealing. This is about going to your future opponents' stadiums, videotaping their sidelines, using technology to break down their signs. That's what this is about.
And you have video evidence of people in the seats that he paid for videotaping sidelines.
And by the way, do you really think they're going to just do nothing about this when it's said that the other schools are the one that reported Michigan and Jim?
And that the other schools knew this staffer by name and appearance?
Yeah.
As in to say, hey, you're not welcome here, sir.
Yeah, he was truly infamous.
Yeah, it's wild. Adam Salamini, unless they have his phone, they have no evidence of a recording. He didn't record it himself.
Yeah.
And he was at the Michigan games while the recording happened. So his phone is almost irrelevant. The only thing they need on his phone would be, I would guess, and there was some debate on whether Michigan is an Apple or a Droid school. But if they're an Apple school, they don't need his phone. They already have his computer.
Yeah.
1. 2, they don't need the video on his phone. They need the communication on his phone. Text messages, arrangements, conversations, phone logs. But the other thing is Michigan's going to provide that for him.
Yeah.
The NCAA is going to ask and Michigan's going to give it to him because Michigan's going to cooperate.
Yeah.
The problem here for those that want to see Michigan fight this, you're obliged to cooperate at the institutional level. You look at this Harbaugh thing. Why do you think Michigan took the action of self-disciplining Jim Harbaugh? Why did he take a 3-game rip to start this season? Do you remember the reason? Because he didn't cooperate and he was dishonest about his actions. And the University of Michigan suspended him for that.
Yeah.
They admitted he did that. So are they really they're not going to fight this.
No.
They're not going to fight this.
And I think Michigan as an institution really cares about its reputation. I mean,
yes,
there's a certain prestige that comes with Michigan. And I'm not even a Michigan guy, and I'm happy to say that. I mean, again, Michigan is an iconic brand in college athletics. I mean, you're not, again, not to disparage anybody, but Michigan cannot be handled the same way that, New York State is going to be handled. Like
Poughkeepsie University.
Yeah, like you're Michigan, dude. Like you have a
You're
reputation, dude.
You are a blue blood, a football powerhouse.
So with all due respect to Buddy and his khakis, they're not going to fight the NCAA. They're going to say, hey, here's everything you guys requested. Let us know what the findings are. Because again, the brass at Michigan, I highly doubt was involved in this. This has Jim sent Buddy told Buddy to do X, Y, and Z all over it. This has Jim as a schemer written all over it because that's exactly what Jim Harbaugh is. That's what Jim's always been, a schemer. And again, I'm just going to keep reiterating this for Michigan fan. You want to die on the hill for somebody that not only is not good enough as a head coach to beat his peers, but now is not good enough at cheating as a head coach of a program to beat his peers. Why are we dying on a hill for this guy? What's the point?
Yeah, and you can have any coach on the planet.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great job.
Yeah.
It's a great job because you're never going to have to worry about not being as good as the guy before you because they didn't win either.
Yeah.
I don't think they fight at all. All right, let's run through some of your comments here. Let's see. LFG, in my opinion, based on circumstantial details, Shiano's observation, Ohio State's video, Michigan earned subjective punishment irrespective of letter of the NCAA law.
I don't think we've seen all the evidence. You're supposing that the evidence that public is everything they have, and that's
not
far from the truth.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say any of this is circumstantial details. We circumstantial would be, well, his best friend and his best friend Steve and his fiance Juniper happen to be in Columbus this day. No, they have him. They have him purchasing tickets to 30 games in 11 different stadiums in his own name. They have video evidence of people in those seats that he purchased in those stadiums, pointing recording devices, phones at the signals on the sideline, static for the entire game. And they are, from what I'm told anyway, I asked specifically of a pretty well-placed source, hey, how are they going to get from, okay, well, here's jerky 1 and jerky 2 pointing their phones at a sideline. How do they know they're recording plays? And they said if they can't get their hands on those phones, that's where the video evidence would come in. What they're doing now is they're backtracking to the tape that was leaked today on the Michigan Ohio State game where CJ Stroud is in the shotgun and in the background are all the coaches and players. And immediately you see when they audibled to this look where CJ Stroud and the running backs turn and look at the sideline for a new play call. The call comes in. You see a bunch of Michigan players put their hands up in the air, which means pass play. And you see this coach, this analyst, immediately put signals in, go to the defensive coach who puts another signal into the game. And it just so happens that on that play, and I'm told dozens of others, they're in the exact right place, in the exact right space, and they make the play. And they beat Ohio State 2 years in a row.
And hey, if in fairness, if that's all you have, right? If you just have game stuff, if you don't have those folks who are on the road, and this is just about observations in game,
That'd be circumstantial.
That's circumstantial.
To the letter.
Then Jim's going to get off on this one. But my point is that, hey, if you're going public with all this and you're coming after Jim and his program the way you are, and you're asking Michigan for cooperation and they're giving it to you, I'm telling you, they have a dagger in their hand worth of evidence. There's no way you behave this way with nothing.
There is nothing circumstantial about we suspended an employee who bought tickets to 30 games in 11 stadiums that have been linked to people recording sidelines. They've got access to video. They've got access to, hey, this guy's computer. They've got access to, I guarantee you, they've already asked Michigan for his expense reports. Did this guy, and again, you tell me, do you really believe that this guy bought these tickets and didn't expense them?
No.
Okay, let's play the game like he did. He did not expense them. He just wanted to send his friends to the game. How did they know the signs that were coming in? How did they know? You have so much evidence of this guy on the sideline executing the con, where he's watching they have video of this guy, extensive video of this guy staring at the play call on the sideline of the opponent. The signs go up and he's like, ding, 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 ding. Like the guy it's like somebody stuck a rod up his ass and all of a sudden it turned him on and he's like, ding, 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 ding.
I'm for real.
Like he's sending in plays and the defensive coordinator signals in to accept the play call. And then they're in the exact right place to make the play.
So all you have to do if you're the NCAA is say, okay, we've got in-game. Now we just need to backtrack through where the crime was committed, which is, or the violation, I should say. It's not a crime. The violation was committed. And I'm telling you, they have all that already. They've got all that evidence already.
And you'll never have to get there. You already suspend. The fact they suspended the employee pretty much is the nail.
And I'd also say, hey, if you're the NCAA, why would you want to mess with Michigan for no reason?
You wouldn't.
Nobody cares about Jim Harbaugh that much, I assure you.
Yeah, they have evidence. All right, a couple more comments on this because then I want to get to the Heisman argument. Mike Smith, they sent guys to record signs of future teams they were playing. They get the video, accumulate, and translate. When they play the team live, they have all the signs and use it to help his team. Yeah, they executed at a high level.
Yeah,
like they have it at a very high level.
Their on-field execution was outstanding. Their business execution to get away with this was terrible.
Yeah. The execution, they went too far. I know we've talked about this 100 times. They went too far.
Yeah.
They went way too far. Northeast Ohio, Boise fan. Ohio State is a college with a history of covering sexual assault of student and assistant coaches' wives. I'm fine with cheating against Ohio State. My God. Yeah, Ohio State's had their fit. I mean, you're not even kidding. Jason, Ryan Day is definitely behind this. One more loss to Michigan and he could be fired. Hey, man, you're not even wrong. Jim Choi, whatever punishment Michigan gets, it's going to be after the 2023 college football season. That's not what we're hearing. We were told today, again, not to undersell the lead, I guess. The NCAA is exploring options for immediate action against Michigan and Jim Harbaugh because they know that if it goes after the season, he's going to quit.
Yeah.
And wouldn't you? And I think one of the blights on the enforcement actions in the history of the NCAA is Pete Carroll never paid a penalty for what happened at USC.
100%.
And so I think they are very much looking for their pound of flesh.
And by the way, the kids did at SC, I might add.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting to see who wins the Heisman Trophy. See what I did there?
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to win the Heisman Trophy? The Athletic has some new odds out that we're going to talk about after we tell you about our good friends at BuckedUp Energy, the official energy provider of the Monty Show. Hour and 20 minutes ago, we hit the buckshot. I feel great. You guys, I'm telling you, it's the best product they have, but you also know that we're back in the gym 5 days a week, getting ready for our run to Hawaii on Thanksgiving, and I just love what BuckedUp's doing for us. Mrs. Monty and I are in great shape, and that whether it is their whey protein isolate, right now their creatine monohydrate is their selected product of the week at BuckedUp.com. I would tell you their pre-workout is the best in the business. Every morning when I get back from the gym now, I'm in this habit of I drink a protein shake that's got, whey protein isolate in it. I've got my collagen peptides in there. Goes down so easy, tastes great. When I go to the gym, I take racked BCAAs with me, and I put my creatine, my 6-point. I use the 6-point creatine because it's a combination of all the 6 different levels of creatine. I love it. When I'm working out, I drink that. I'm currently on a run of pina colada racked BCAAs that are amazing. Get all of it at BuckedUp.com. Use the promo code Monty for 20% off at checkout. And you guys, listen, I really want you to try Bucked Up and their Buckshot because it's a great energy product. It's 200 milligrams of naturally sourced caffeine and a bunch of brain food. And this is what happens. Like, you get a lift. You're not going to get like some huge spike and then a fall. Like, it doesn't work like that. Buckshot just gives you a natural lift. It gives you a bunch of clarity. I'm telling you, it is a really good product. Don't take my word for it. In the description on this show below, go hook it up. There's a link to get 6 free Buckshots sent right to your front door. And I guarantee you, I don't know anybody who doesn't like it or hasn't had a good experience with it.
I don't think I've ever heard anyone say, I don't like this or it doesn't work.
No, it absolutely works. Go check it out. And again, if you want to get hooked up at BuckedUp.com, Monty, to save 20% off at checkout. Bucked Up, the official energy provider of the Monty Show. Casey Boss got my Bucked Up samples. Pretty freaking good. No shakes or crashes.
Let's go, baby.
That's what I'm telling you about Buckshot. The best part about it is that there are no shakes. You don't get the spikes and the highs and lows you get from this other stuff is because they use crappy ingredients, sugars and artificial flavors. And when you make a really good product, and it just works, it's because you use elite ingredients that make an elite product that does exactly what it says it's going to do.
Yes.
That's why you trust Bucked Up. And whether it is Buckshot, and I think, Casey Boss, your comment's pretty indicative of what most people think. It's just incredible. Jim Choi, we could get another free Buckshot after already getting 6. I don't know. Try it. I would also tell you, everybody, we do a lot of samples. Everybody has been crushing the sample for the free shaker cup because it is the best shaker cup in the business. You can check that out as well. Aaron Wilson says, LOL, you're welcome, buddy. Okay. Mike Smith, if Michigan shows that other teams are doing the same thing, does it absolve Michigan from any punishment? No.
No, I mean, I think that they will take their medicine, and so will other schools doing this.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way to absolve.
That's still been the main point. We're about to talk about the Heisman Trophy run here.
Yeah.
But when we talk about a certain individual who plays quarterback for Michigan, think about what the Jim Harbaugh sign-stealing thing, what effect that has on the Heisman conversation.
Yeah, because it's not just offensive signs they were stealing, by the way. Here you go. The Athletic today put out their latest Heisman Trophy standings. And look at that. Michael Penix Jr., number 1. Absolutely right. Marvin Harrison Jr., number 2. Really? Jaden Daniels, LSU, number 3. I think that's justified. Dylan Gabriel, 4th. J.J. McCarthy, quarterback at Michigan, 5th. He got double the amount or triple the amount of votes that Bo Nix got for first place. I am amazed by this. There are voters that have J.J. McCarthy ahead of Bo Nix.
And I think the reason for that is because when J.J. McCarthy throws the football, it looks pretty, right? He's one of those guys that isn't an amazing quarterback. That's just my opinion.
I would agree with that.
He's not this incredible, never seen it before. Like, the sort of allure that Caleb Williams had going into this season. Hey, he's the front runner. He's the god of all quarterbacks. Like, he's that guy. That's what I think people feel when they watch JJ throw the football. But the reality of the situation is his strength of schedule doesn't add up to a Heisman Trophy. And ultimately the numbers don't quite add up. And I think that's what's difficult. Once again, we're talking about the Heisman Trophy doesn't have a specific definition of what we're looking for. Some people will tell you it's the best quarterback in college football. Other people will tell you it's the best player in college football.
Which is what I think.
Yeah, and I think it should be the best player in college football. Okay, so if that's what it is, JJ definitely shouldn't even be in the conversation. Yet here we are.
I think it's a very interesting debate. And I look at some of the NCAA passing numbers. You guys understand that JJ McCarthy's 33rd in the country in passing. That he's only thrown the ball 169 times. That he's got 18 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. But when you look at a guy like Michael Penix leading the country in passing yards, because he's thrown the ball 257 times, right? 182 pass completions. I look at Jaden Daniels. He's number 2 in the country. You know, like 25 passing touchdowns and 3 interceptions.
Yeah.
Yet who's the betting favorite to win the Heisman Trophy in Vegas? According to Caesars Sportsbook, it's JJ McCarthy. According to the Westgate, it's JJ McCarthy. According to MGM, JJ McCarthy. How is that possible? How does Michael Penix not win the Heisman Trophy this year? And in the comments section, I'd love to get your thoughts on it. Mike Smith, Vaki over Gordon as the first running back on the list. It's wild.
and he might be the best example of this.
And I love Vaki. And I think what he has done is nothing short of incredible. But when you guys look at this list, Sione Vaki is the only running back on this list.
Yeah.
Now, I also don't think that Brock Bowers should be on this list. He's pretty much out for the rest of the regular season. You know, I look at somebody like Dallas Turner. He's obviously the leader of the Alabama defense, but should he be on this list right now? Well, but I look at somebody like Luther Burden. Should Luther Burden be behind JJ McCarthy, behind, you know, like I can't say that he should be, because I think without Luther Burden, is Mizzou really Mizzou? I mean, guy's an incredible, incredible talent.
Yeah.
And yet he's only got 3 points. And I look at the folks that have the majority of the points, Jaden Daniel. How does Marvin Harrison Jr. have 45 points and Bo Nix has 16? That's remarkable to me. And again, I'm going to tell you, it's a bias in the way that the voters watch college football.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what else it could be. I mean, Look, I think the reality is, you know, nobody wants to talk about the fact that, hey, people who matter weren't interested in Oregon and Washington. You know, on Twitter, they'll tell you they were interested. And, you know, oh, man, yeah, I watched that whole game front to back. And, oh, my God. But then you get the AP poll, you get the Heisman Trophy poll, you get the college football playoff poll, you get, hell, even the coaches poll are all throwing shade at the Pac-12. And that's where I'm like, okay, look, I get it. You have to stay up late on the East Coast. But my answer to that even is, okay, don't stay up, but at least rewatch it. At least go through and watch the tape, because you have access to it. And it really bothers me that we do this, that because you play at Michigan, you get, I guess, pushed up, or I mean, I'm hesitating to say he gets a free pass because he hasn't won anything, but you know, you get pushed
the
up
benefit
the
of the doubt.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. And so it's like, hey, the next time that I see Kyle McCord in the Heisman conversation, won't be the last time. Like, this is Michael Penix Jr.'s award to lose, in my opinion.
I agree. 100%.
It should be him and everybody else until he falters or loses a huge game or whatever it's going to take to knock him off the pedestal. Like, as an example, what Caleb Williams did knocked him off the pedestal. No longer in the conversation.
Totally agree.
You're not winning this year.
I think Caleb's out. Obviously, Quinn Ewers is out literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
I just think it's going to be a really difficult road to hoe.
Dylan Gabriel. Like, how is this guy not getting more credit for where his team is at based on where they started? Because that's the other thing no one talks about.
Well, they had to fight for their lives this weekend, which I think doesn't help.
But the
And
starting
thankfully-
line is different for everybody.
But thankfully that's true for certain. Thankfully for Dylan Gabriel, he's got big games ahead of him, probably Texas again. But I think it's one of those things where you just have to get through it. And everybody's got to perform in their biggest games. JJ McCarthy has to beat Penn State, and he has to be the reason you beat Penn State. And JJ McCarthy has to be the reason you beat Ohio State. Right? Like that's how this has to go. He's got to be the reason you win the Big Ten championship, or you're not going to win the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah.
And I think it's cruel, but it is what it is. Right. Let's see. Jeff Woodworth, Iowa's PR on that list is sorry for effing you on that call last week. Yes, seriously, man. I cannot believe they called that a fair catch. Like, what were you looking at, dude? I don't know. Dakota Tubbs, if Luther Burden wins the Heisman, I'll eat a shoe for the program. Well, you probably won't have to do that. Chuck B, what's up? I hate USC, but no other QB is as talented as Caleb. Can't believe I typed this. Well,
but that's not going to get it done for the Heisman, dude.
And you can't throw 3 interceptions against Notre Dame, and you can't sit on the sideline after you lost to Utah again.
I can't
and
believe
cry.
I can't. So, like, after the Notre Dame game for USC, I was like, okay, hey, it's 1 week. Yeah, you had an awful game for Caleb Williams, but surely this is the low point, right? Like, surely this is, and look who's on the TV for NBA on TNT. Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders in Denver at the Nuggets game. Who the hell knew?
Yeah.
Unreal, dude. I can't get
They're
away from
everywhere.
the guy.
They're everywhere.
But my point is that overall, I just think that it's a popularity contest. And a guy like Caleb Williams, you're not going to go to Notre Dame and lose like you did. And then inexplicably, because I still maintain, and I give Utah all the credit in the world, love Witt, love everything they're doing, right? But let's be real. USC should have won that game based on what you have to work with. And yet here we are again talking about how you let everyone down.
Yep.
And it's why Lincoln Riley skipped his damn radio show today, which I have no respect for.
How about that story?
No respect for that.
Lincoln Riley skipped his radio show. He said, I don't feel well. Well, it's probably because you got your balls stomped on 2 Saturdays in a row, and they're probably aching right now. That's such a cop-out. That is such a cop-out. Absolute cop-out. That Lincoln Riley bailed on his radio show because they lost 2 games in a row.
Yeah, you don't see Nick Saban skipping out on good old Pat McAfee or any of his other obligations when they lose.
Wild to me. James Oak State fan says, I saw Penix last year at the Alamo Bowl. The guy is a special talent. He's an amazing athlete.
That arm is wild, dude.
He's very good. Fat Jesus, it is so crazy that ASU has also had a we name. Okay, what the? It's so crazy that ASU also had a QB named Jaden Daniels, but this one is apparently really good.
Yeah.
The Herm effect. Right? He is. The kid just terrifies me because he is the girth of a fettuccine noodle and just takes hit after hit, keeps delivering the football.
Yep.
But he just gets hit so often. Jim Choi, Michael Penix so far haven't shown up for Arizona or Arizona State games. Yeah, but does anybody show up for those games? He showed up. What was that one game he showed up for? Oh, the Oregon game where everybody watched. That's right. He is an elite quarterback. He is an elite quarterback. Salamini, I trust Tijuana Tapwater more than I trust USC quarterbacks in the NFL. Well, you ain't wrong about that. You ain't wrong about that.
Yeah, and by the way, to the comment about not showing up for those games, they still won the game.
They did.
So I don't want to hear that.
Kim Coulter says, Gary, not sure about that, and I thank God we haven't had to find out. Okay. Kim, maybe you're right. Tech has had to play from behind so much that Taj hasn't gotten near as many opportunities as he otherwise would have. Still leading the conference in rushing. And this is my thing with Ollie Gordon. Let's talk about the Heisman Trophy when the guy is leading the conference in rushing. And you can keep filling up the comment section on YouTube and tweeting at me. And got a guy the other day tweeting me his game log. And I'm like, do you really think his game log is germane to a Heisman Trophy discussion when you're not leading the conference in rushing?
You're getting beat by a guy who's not got the opportunities you've got.
Yeah.
Come on, guy.
Come on. Dakota Tubb says Lincoln Riley equals little macaque.
Well, I will say
He said macaque.
Macaque.
I've never been a Lincoln guy, and that's no secret. However, there are levels to this game, and skipping out on media availability is low cash.
You can't do it. You can't do it. Mike Smith, Lincoln not showing up for a media as his NFL stock starts to fall. Do you guys believe that? There was some talk here on the Monty Show, presented by our good friends at The Advocates, theadvocates.com, the best injury attorneys in the business. Do you guys believe that Lincoln Riley is about to quit USC to go to the NFL?
You've been in an accident and now you're injured. Though it wasn't your fault, you now have to deal with getting your car fixed, mounting medical bills, and insurance companies who don't play fair. But don't worry. The experienced team at The Advocates are here to get you the support you need.